So the IRS is supposedly set to fire about 15,000 of its agents today. Why is that? How are they doing that? And how's it going to impact you and your taxes? Well, we're in the middle of tax season, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens when you try to call the IRS during tax season. But the reason they're able to do this is because a couple years ago, there was something called the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed. You may have heard everyone talking about how they were going to hire 87,000 new agents to go after everybody and audit them. Well, they made their way about a quarter of the way there. So they've hired over the last couple years, they've hired 20,000 new agents. The way that the federal government works is that they don't get unionized until they're about a year in. And so if they're not unionized, they're at will, which means they can leave at any time and they can be fired at any time. And so apparently that number seems to be settling in of people that are still, non-unionized, seems to be settling in around 15,000. So that means of the 20,000 new agents that were hired over the last couple of years, it looks to be about 15,000 that are going to be gone. Now, it's both good and bad in terms of these people getting let go. You might be thinking, Tyler, how could it be bad that auditors are getting fired? Shouldn't we be jumping in the streets and dancing for joy? Well, if you've ever tried to call the IRS, it is a pain in the butt. And when we're trying to call or we respond to a notice to help out a client, a lot of times we have to wait on hold for 2 or 3 hours just to get one little 5-minute conversation. So they were actually trying to catch up a lot of that understaffing to handle a lot of the correspondence. And then also with that group in the IRS being understaffed, refunds back in COVID days were taking forever to process. So I'll be curious to see if it slows down refunds being processed. It's certainly going to make longer wait times at the IRS. And then for everyone on the positive side, you're probably going to see quite a few less audits just because there's not as many people to do them. We'll see how that plays out over the next few years. If we have an IRS, I know it's a long shot that the IRS will get totally nixed. There's going to be longer wait times if you need to call out, potentially longer refunds times on being processed, and it will be right in the middle of tax season with about 15,000 fewer agents to come after you.